Thank you very much, band. Thank you for that very melodious music that you've been giving us. Right now, we're having the arrival of the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Her Excellency Major Retired Jessica Alupo. You're very welcome, Your Excellency. A very good afternoon to you, honorable members of Parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's auspicious occasion of the budget speech. Now, a short moment earlier, we also recognized the arrival of the Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable Thomas Tayebwa. He has already taken his place in the dais ahead of the official start of today's business. We also have the arrival of the Second Deputy Prime Minister, General Moses Ali. You're welcome, Right Honorable. The composition of Parliament is coming up strongly, and right now we are having the arrival of the political head of the National Assembly of Uganda, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Among. Parliament is now fully constituted with the Speaker of Parliament present, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament present, as well as the honorable members of Parliament who have taken their seats in the chamber. Thank you very much, band. The band is comprised of Uganda Police Force and Uganda Prison Services, whose principals are already here present, who arrived a bit earlier ahead of today's budget speech that is expected to be given by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, a role that is usually delegated to his Minister of Finance, whom we expect to arrive very soon. Earlier, we had notable arrivals of service chiefs who are already present with us here. We have present with us the Commissioner General of Prisons, Dr. Johnson Byabashaija, the Inspector General of Police, Abbas Byakagaba. Present with us is the Deputy Chief of Defense Forces, Deputy CDF, Lieutenant General Samuel Okiding. We also have present with us honorable ministers from different sectors of the country, members of Parliament present. As I had already mentioned, Her Excellency the Vice President, Major Retired Jessica Alupo, is also present with us as we await the commencement of the plenary today. Today we are here for the national budget speech. This is the budget, the estimates that are expected to be utilized in the forthcoming financial year that commences in about 2 weeks. That is the financial year 2025-2026. The theme of the coming budget is full monetization of the Ugandan economy through commercial agriculture, industrialization, expanding and broadening services, digital transformation, and market access. That is the theme that we are working with ahead of the 2025-2026 financial year that commences in about 2 weeks. Today we have a rather brief but very key program. I'm sure you have already perused it in the booklets that have been given to you. From midday, we had the arrival of the different guests invited by the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament to this key event of the budget speech, as well as the arrival of the service chiefs, as I've already mentioned. We've also had the arrival of diplomatic heads of missions, judges and justices, ministers. We also expect the arrival of other heads within the Parliament of Uganda. And honorable members of Parliament, distinguished ladies, guests, ladies and gentlemen, right now, the moment we've been waiting for ahead of the plenary sitting today, the arrival of the Honorable Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Matia Kasaija. He is carrying the briefcase that is well renowned, that we all know of, that has the key estimates for expenditure for the financial year 2025-2026. The Honorable Minister for Finance is accompanied by his deputy ministers. We have Honorable Evelyn Anite accompanying him, Honorable Amos Lugolobi as well in that entourage, and we have Honorable Matia Kasaija as well. Yes, the ministers are here with us. And yes, that is a very big photo moment. Also in that entourage is Honorable Haruna Kasolo, the honorable ministers in the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, getting that headline photograph that will feature on the media during the course of the day and tomorrow as well. After the picture, we'll request our colleagues from the Fourth Estate to allow the ministers to come all the way to the front here, just in front of me, where they shall have their official photo taken. The Minister for Finance, Honorable Matia Kasaija, accompanied by his deputy ministers, is carrying the briefcase renowned for money, where we have the financial estimates for the financial year 2025-2026. Honorable Minister, I'll request you just to stand right here and you'll have the official photo taken. Just on the red carpet. On the red carpet? Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister and your deputies. Thank you very much, colleagues from the Fourth Estate. Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister for Finance, Honorable Matia Kasaija. We have been anticipating your arrival, and now that you have arrived, we are now very optimistic that the budget speech will take place very successfully this afternoon. The budget speech is a mandate given to His Excellency the President, and he usually delegates it to his Minister for Finance, and that will be done when the time comes. As I mentioned earlier, we've already recognized the arrival of the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament and the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, as well as Honorable Members of Parliament, Honorable Ministers. We also have the Vice President with us, the Second Deputy Prime Minister, the Third Deputy Prime Minister, and Parliament is more or less composed right now. Also composed in the distinguished gallery of Parliament is the Chief Justice of the Republic of Uganda, Justice Alphonse Owiny-Dollo. We also have the First Deputy National Chairman of the National Resistance Movement, Alhaj Moses Chigongo, who is very familiar with parliamentary proceedings, having served as Deputy Speaker of the National Resistance Council for approximately 10 years. Present with us, we also have cultural leaders who I'm going to recognize. We have His Royal Highness, Lieutenant Colonel Retired Martin Ayongi Kamya, the Omudinga wa Bwamba, the King of Bwamba Kingdom. We also have present with us His Royal Highness Constantine Butamanya Mogezi, the King of Buruli Kingdom and the Chairman of the Uganda Kings and Cultural Leaders Forum. We also have His Royal Highness Paul Sande Etiomeleng Emolot, the Omorimo Papa Iteso, the King of Teso Kingdom. Present with us is Right Honorable Ambassador George Atim, the Secretary General of Uganda Kings and Cultural Leaders Forum. We also have His Royal Highness Robert Obara, Omwenengobwa Bugwe Kingdom, situated in Busia District. We also have His Royal Highness Jude Mike Modoma Umukuka III of Inju Yamasaba from Mbale District, and we have His Highness Engineer Dr. Moses Michael Odongo Wonyachi Melango. We've also received the arrival of Right Honorable Amama Mbabazi, former Prime Minister of Uganda, is present with us, and I'll continue to introduce the different dignitaries as will be noticed. Now we have a program that we are going to follow this afternoon. May you kindly allow me to take you through it briefly. To start off the program, after the official arrival of His Excellency the President, and after he has inspected the street guard parade mounted, we will have the national anthems. The national anthem of Uganda, followed by the East African anthem. Then we shall have the prayers to bless the function of today's proceedings. And thereafter, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament will give a proclamation, because it is statutorily required for the Speaker of Parliament to proclaim any grounds that is not the actual Parliament of Uganda as the precincts of Parliament. Therefore, when the plenary is going to commence, the Speaker, or rather when the plenary has commenced, the Speaker will proclaim the Kololo ceremonial grounds as the precincts of Parliament, and thereby officially starting today's business, which shall be the budget speech. Prior to the budget speech, the Speaker will give a communication to the House, and thereafter she shall invite His Excellency the President to give the budget speech, which he usually mandates to his Minister for Finance, who has already arrived. And after the budget speech, after getting the estimates of the figures that are expected to be spent in financial year 2025-2026, we shall receive a speech from His Excellency the President. We shall receive a speech from His Excellency the President. After his speech, the House will come to a close. The Speaker will announce the adjournment of Parliament that will be observed through the anthems in reverse order. That will be the East Africa anthem, followed by the national anthem, and thereafter we shall depart the grounds, and the departure will be in reverse order. Reverse order means, ideally, the last person to arrive on the grounds shall be the first person to depart. Just a few announcements. There's a lunch that has been prepared for us ahead of the budget reading. In case you hadn't yet had something to eat, I would kindly advise that you do that right now, because we're expecting His Excellency to arrive shortly. So the lunch is provided in the tent adjacent to the main tent, which is to my left, and that is to your right. We'd also like to remind you, honorable members of Parliament, that this being an actual sitting, an official sitting of Parliament, you ought to register your presence here. There are tents at the extreme end to my left, and then to my right, just behind the big screens right there, there are registration tents. So in case you hadn't registered, kindly do go ahead and register ahead of the plenary sitting. I would like to advise that we do all of these activities now before His Excellency arrives, because then we shall be required to have taken our seats in the tent, which will be proclaimed as the chamber ahead of today's budget speech. Okay, we also have another cultural leader present with us. The King of Tieng Adola is represented by Right Honorable Asha Wilson Oweri, the third Deputy Principal Minister of Tieng Adola. Welcome. I'd like to welcome you once again, honorable members of Parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to today's budget speech. We'd also like to request all members of Parliament, all distinguished guests and invited guests who are in the refreshment tents or elsewhere to kindly take your seats in the main tent as we prepare to commence. Let me invite the band, the police band and the Uganda Prisons band to continue serenading us with some music. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, band, police band and Uganda Prisons band, for that nice light music, albeit brief. The procession of Parliament has formed. I would like to request all members of Parliament, distinguished guests, invited guests, who haven't yet taken their seats in the main tent to please take your seats, because as the procession of Parliament has been formed, led by the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Anita Mong, and the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Thomas Taebwa, we are soon witnessing the arrival of His Excellency the President. May we kindly converge in the main tent and get ready to welcome His Excellency ahead of this afternoon's activity of the budget reading. The Speaker and Deputy Speaker are leading the procession to receive the President. Be standing to receive him when he comes, or rather when he has arrived. Also in the procession of the Speaker is the Minister for Finance, who has a very key role this afternoon, budget reading of the budget for financial year 2025-2026. We also have the Clerk to Parliament, the Administrative Head of Parliament of Uganda, Honourable Adolphe Mwesige, as well as our Deputy Clerk in charge of Parliamentary Affairs, Madame Rosie Kiror. They are the team that is going to receive His Excellency the President. As we wait for the arrival of His Excellency, I would just like to recognize the invited guests and heads of different services that have already arrived. We had the arrival and presence now of the Commissioner General of Prisons, Dr. Johnson Byabashaija. Present with us is the Inspector General of Police, Abbas Byakagaba. Present with us is also the Deputy Chief of Defense Forces, Lieutenant General Sam Okiding. We also have present with us honorable members of Parliament, as has been noticed. We also have the Deputy Prime Ministers present, the Second Deputy Prime Minister, General Moses Ali, and the Third Deputy Prime Minister, Right Honorable Rukia Nakadama. We also have present with us in the chamber the Vice President, Her Excellency Major Retired Jessica Alupo. We also have present with us in the distinguished gallery the head of the judiciary, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Uganda, Justice Alphonse Owinidolo. We also have the second in command of the National Resistance Movement, Alhaj Moses Chigongo. We also have our former Vice President, who also served as Speaker of Parliament, His Excellency Edward Chwanuka Sekandi. And we also have former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Amama Mbabazi. As you're witnessing now, the sweeper for His Excellency has arrived. That means he's following closely. I would like to continue to request us to take our seats in the main tent, which is going to be proclaimed as the Chamber of Parliament when the official business of Parliament commences in a very short while. Our program for the day, which is known as the Order Paper of Parliament, we shall have the anthems. We shall have the national anthem of Uganda first, followed by the East Africa anthem. After the anthems, we shall have a prayer of Parliament, and thereafter we shall have a communication. We shall have a proclamation by the Right Honorable Speaker proclaiming Kololo ceremonial grounds as the precincts of Parliament. And after that proclamation, the Speaker, Right Honorable Anita Netamong, shall give a communication to members of Parliament, thereafter inviting the Minister to give the budget, the President to give the budget speech, which is usually a role given to the Minister for Finance. Thereafter, a budget speech by His Excellency, and therefore we'll adjourn. As you can see on the screens, the President of the Republic of Uganda has arrived. He has made his way to Kololo ceremonial grounds ahead of this afternoon's budget reading. The theme of this year's budget is full monetization of the Ugandan economy through commercial agriculture, industrialization, expanding and broadening services, digital transformation, and market access. Upon the arrival of His Excellency, the President, he is going to inspect the street guard parade that has been mounted just at the edge of the red carpet to welcome him. And after that, he shall be officially received by the procession of Parliament led by the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Netamong, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Thomas Taibwa, the Minister for Finance, who is also a Commissioner of Parliament, Honorable Matia Kasaija, as well as the Clerk to Parliament and his administrative team. The sound you heard, the Beagles, are by the Uganda Police Force Band. Honorable members of Parliament, distinguished guests, may we kindly be upstanding and receive His Excellency the President to Kololo ceremonial grounds. His Excellency is accompanied by the First Lady, Mama Janet Museveni. The President has concluded inspecting the street guard parade that was mounted, or rather has been mounted this afternoon, and now officially receiving him to Parliament, Kololo ceremonial grounds, is the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, Minister for Finance, who has a very key role this afternoon, as well as the administration of Parliament. The President, accompanied by Mama, shall proceed to sign the official registration book of Parliament to register his presence in Parliament. And after His Excellency has signed the official registration book, then the Speaker shall lead a procession to come to the main tent right here, where we shall begin the day's plenary. As I mentioned earlier, there's a program that is going to be followed this afternoon that is very well known by honorable members of Parliament. But just to guide our distinguished guests who are here. After the official signing of the registration book, as a welcome to His Excellency the President and Mama, the Speaker shall lead the procession to Parliament. Thereafter, we shall have the anthems, that is the Uganda National Anthem, followed by the East African Anthem. Thereafter, we shall have prayers, and then the Speaker shall proceed to proclaim the Kololo Ceremonial Independence Grounds as the official precincts of Parliament of the Republic of Uganda. After that, she shall give her communication to the honorable members of Parliament present, and thereafter she shall invite His Excellency the President to give the budget speech. The President usually delegates this very key important role to his Minister for Finance, who is already present in the dais, soon to be the Chamber of Parliament, Honorable Matia Kasaija, who is also a Commissioner of Parliament. After that, the President shall give a speech after the reading of the official estimates expected to be utilized in financial year 2025-2026, and thereafter the House shall adjourn and it shall be a close of business for the day. This shall be witnessed through the anthems in reverse order, which shall be the East African Anthem, followed by the Uganda National Anthem, and thereafter the departure shall be in reverse order, which means the last person to arrive here today shall be the first person to depart. This is the second sitting of the first meeting of the 5th session of the 11th Parliament of Uganda, this Thursday afternoon, the 12th of June 2025. This session is the last session of the 11th Parliament, and the budget we are going to receive has been the last budget that will be utilized within this 11th, the term of this 11th Parliament, but it is the second last budget that is being made by the 11th Parliament. The last will be the budget for the financial year that will come next year, 2026-2027. That means Parliament of Uganda still has another budget to work on. His Excellency has concluded signing in the registration book, and now the Speaker shall bring us into the official business of Parliament. Thank you.
Honorable members, His Excellency the President and Madam Speaker.
The anthems. The anthems. Prayers.
Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon with your abundant favor these your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under that deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to that church. Amen.
Amen. Item number 3, proclamation by the Right Honourable Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda.
Whereas Article 101, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda states that His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, may, in consultation with the Speaker, address Parliament from time to time on any matter of national importance. Aware that His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, has, in accordance to Article 102, Sub-Article 2, indicated to the Speaker of Parliament his intention to address Parliament and the nation on the national budget for the financial year 2025-2026. Now, therefore, in accordance with Rule 18, Sub-Rule 1 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, I hereby proclaim that Parliament shall sit at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds on Thursday, 12th, 2025 at 14 hours to receive the address of His Excellency the President on the national budget for financial year 2025-2026, and the Kololo Ceremonial Grounds to be the precincts of Parliament for the above-mentioned purpose, given under my hand at Parliament House, Kampala, this 12th day of June 2025, signed by Anita Anet Among, Speaker of Parliament.
Item number 4, communication from the Chair.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, accompanied by the First Lady, Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, who also doubles to be the Minister of Education and Sports, High Excellency, the Vice President, retired Major Anlupo Jessica Epel, His Lordship, the Honorable Chief Justice, Honorable Chigamoy Alphonse Owinyi-Dolo, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Thomas Tayebwa, the Right Honorable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business, together with your deputies, the Right Honorable Leader of Opposition in Parliament, Honorable Joel Senyonyi, the Cabinet Ministers and Ministers of State, Your Excellency, the Commissioners, Ambassadors and members of the Diplomatic Corps, Honorable Members of Parliament of Uganda and the East African Legislative Assembly, the Vice Chairman of the National Resistance Party, Alhaj Moses Chigongo, members of the Central Executive Committee of NRM Party, the Secretary General of the National Resistance Movement, Right Honorable Richard Trodong, the former national leaders present, traditional and cultural leaders present, the religious leaders who are present here, the Inspector General of Government, IG, Honorable Betty Olive Namisango Kamia, the Chairperson Cabinet, Madame Lucy Nachobe, the Auditor General, Mr. Akol Edward, members of the Constitutional Commission, permanent secretaries present, the Chief of Defense Forces, General Muhosi, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Bas Byakagaba, the Commissioner General of Prisons, Dr. Canon Johnson, the Governor of Bank of Uganda, Dr. Tinego, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the second sitting of the 5th session of 11th Parliament. You may recall that last week on 5th June 2025, Parliament hosted His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, at the official state opening of the 5th session of 11th Parliament, during which His Excellency delivered a remarkable address on the state of nation. I take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda for fulfilling his constitutional obligation as enshrined in Article 101, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. Today, we are once again immensely gratified to host His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, who is here to deliver the budget speech for financial year 2025-2026 in fulfillment of his constitutional obligation under Article 155, Sub-Article 1 of the 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, which states that the President shall cause to be prepared and laid before Parliament in each financial year, but in any case, not later than 15th day before the commencement of the financial year, the estimates of revenue and expenditure of government for the next financial year. Honorable members, today's budget speech is a culmination of the participatory budget process, which involves various stakeholders as guided by the 1995 Constitution, the Public Finance Management Act 2015, the National Audit Act 2008, the National Audit Act, the Local Government Act 1997. This participatory budget process is an avenue of the citizen involvement in policy decisions, resource prioritization and allocation, and the monitoring of the public expenditure. As a people-centered parliament, we commend the various stakeholders for making their input in the national budget, and we urge them to sustain the civic awareness and responsibility during the actual budget execution and accountability as well. Your Excellency, the Parliament of Uganda is cognizant of the people participation as a cornerstone for deepening democracy, which is a standing governance principle for our beloved nation. Your Excellency and honorable members, allow me to highlight some of the key milestones achieved by legislature during the budget consideration process. Pursuant to Section 9, 5, and 8 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and Rule 145 of the Rules of Procedure, the House approved the National Budget Framework Paper 2025-2026, 2029-2030 on the 30th day of January 2025. 2. Pursuant to Section 12 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and Rule 152 of Rules of Procedure, Parliament approved a ministerial policy statement for financial year 2025-2026 during the period of 9th to 16th April 2025. Pursuant to Section 8 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and Rule 157 of the Rules of Procedure, Parliament passed 7 tax and revenue bills on 13th and 14th May to enable the realization of revenue to finance the national budget for financial year 2025-2026. In furtherance to Section 14 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and Rule 158 and Rule 159 of the Rules of Parliament, Parliament approved the national budget for the financial year 2025-2026 on 15th day of May 2025. Your Excellency, the efficiency and effectiveness of legislature is as a result of constructive engagement between legislature, executive and judiciary, as well as the relevant stakeholders. I take this opportunity to greatly appreciate all the honorable members of Parliament, the front bench, the shadow cabinet, and all the stakeholders for their dedication throughout the budgeting process and ensuring that we do not only meet the legal and constitutional timeline, but also adequately interrogate the budget. Your Excellency, without preempting your speech on this day, I would like to highlight the salient issues that arose during the budget consideration process. 1, the need to strengthen the oversight of our wealth creation funds, notably the parish development model, the youth livelihood, UWEP, SAGE, so that the funds actually reach their intended beneficiaries and attain the desired impact. 2, to strengthen the implementation and oversight of high-impact projects under the NDP4 so that the intended objectives are achieved. These high-impact projects are what we previously referred to in NDP3 as the core projects. 3, to strengthen the commitment control in budget execution by compelling the accounting officers to commit to the actual budgets and work plans as approved. This is important for budget discipline. 4, the minimization of supplementary budgets and the need to adherence to Section 25(7) of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 to limit supplementary budget requests to items that are absorbable, unavoidable, and unforeseeable. 5, the need to adequately plan and resource efficiency management measures to address the prevailing debt burden. The need to increase public investment in productive growth areas such as EMIOGA, parish development model, the 4-acre prosperity model, and deepen the financial inclusion and aid the growth of taxable formal sector so as to widen the tax base and improve on the tax to GDP ratio. Your Excellency, in the spirit of fostering regional integration, Parliament is cognizant of the need for deliberate reforms in customs and migrations. These requirements and procedures are in order to eliminate the non-tariff barriers and ease the movement of people, goods, and services across the East African community. The need for deliberate intervention to enhance the human capital development as a way of strengthening the competitiveness of Ugandan population. Your Excellency and members, as we embark on financial year 2025-2026, I call upon the accounting officers to ensure the prudent, efficient and effective utilization of public resources, and that is pursuant to Section 21 and 45 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015. Your Excellency and honorable members, Article 83, Sub-Article 2A of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda permits members of Parliament to leave and join political parties or political organizations of their choice within 12 months before the end of term of Parliament in order to participate in activities or programs for political parties or political organizations relating to the general elections. I am in receipt of notification from the following members of Parliament who have left the Forum for Democratic Change, FDC, and opted to join the People Front for Freedom, PFF. Honorable Semuju Ibrahim, MP Kira Municipality. Honorable Kabusu Moses, MP Chamuswa County. Honorable Nakato Asinansi, the woman MP of Hoima City. Honorable Kamara Nicholas Tadeus, MP Kabale Municipality. Honorable Kashabe Atkins Godfrey, MP Bukonjo County West. Honorable Mohindo Harold Tony, MP Bukonjo County East. Honorable Namanya Naboth, MP Rubabo County. Honorable Muijiche Francis, MP Buhesh County. Honorable Awol Betty Ochan, Gulu City Woman Member of Parliament. We extend our best wishes to the members as they exercise their freedom of association as enshrined in Article 29 of the 1995 Constitution that we sought to uphold. Your Excellency, the President, and honorable members, and distinguished guests, I say all this for God and my country.
Item number 5, presentation of the budget speech by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda.
Honorable members, I have been duly notified that the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development will deliver the budget speech on behalf of His Excellency the President, and thereafter the President will also give his remarks, additional remarks to what has been delivered. I now want to invite the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to deliver the budget speech. Honorable Minister.
Your Excellency, the President of Uganda, Your Excellency, the Vice President, Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Your Lordship, the Chief Justice, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Your Lordship, the Deputy Chief Justice, the Vice Chairman of the NRM Party, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Right Honorable Deputy Prime Ministers, Honorable Ministers, Your Excellencies and the Ambassadors and the heads of diplomatic missions, Honorable Members of Parliament, former national leaders, cultural leaders, religious leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Madam Speaker, in fulfillment of Article 155, Part 1 of the Constitution, and on behalf of His Excellency the President, I present to Parliament and the people of Uganda the budget for financial year 2025-26 as approved by Parliament. Madam Speaker, in this speech, I will, 1, provide accountability to the people of Uganda on the performance of the commitments made by the NRM government for the first half of the Uganda Vision 2040. 2, present the recent performance of the economy and outlook. 3, account to the people of Uganda on the commitments that the government made for financial 24-25 that is coming to an end in a few days, and the private areas of the budget for financial 25-26. 4, highlight the financing strategy of the financial 25-26 budget. Now, accountability of the performance of the commitments made by the NRM government for the first half of Uganda Vision 2040. Madam Speaker, let me first congratulate His Excellency the President on his leadership that has built a resilient, stable, transformative, and competitive economy that is attractive to investors. Ogaro. Uganda is among the fastest growing economies in the world and is projected to become the fastest growing by 2031 according to the Harvard Growth Club. This is despite the various domestic, regional, and global shocks that have impacted us in the recent years. The growth is on account of a unique economic ideology championed by His Excellency the President, which is built on the 4 principles of socio-economic transformation, patriotism, Pan-Africanism, and democracy. Madam Speaker, the first half of Uganda Vision 2024 started in 2010 with the implementation of the first 5-year National Development Plan, and thereafter NDP 2 and NDP 3, which ends this financial year. The initial years of the NRM government before 2010, we dedicated to restoring sustainable peace, recovering and stabilizing a broken economy, addressing extreme poverty, and implementing reforms that liberalized the economy and created an environment for private sector to flourish. We are now in the phase of socio-economic transformation to facilitate wealth creation and prosperity. Your Excellency, I thank and commend you for this. Madam Speaker, the budget for financial year 2025-26 will conclude the implementation of the current NRM manifesto and start the implementation of the 4th National Development Plan. For the next 15 years, the successive national development plans will implement the 10-fold economic growth strategy. This strategy aims to expand the size of the economy to US$ 500 billion by 2040 from US$ 61.3 billion estimated this financial year 24-25. Madam Speaker, over the accountability period, government has undertaken targeted investments that have built a firm foundation and strengthened the resilience of our economy. I wish to highlight the following achievements. 1. Total peace, security of person and property, political stability have been the foundation upon which sustained high economic growth and wealth creation to be built. 2. The economy more than tripled to shillings 226.3 trillion Uganda shillings, equivalent to US dollars 61.3 billion this financial 24-25, from shillings 64.8 trillion, equivalent to US dollars 27.9 billion in financial 2010-2011. In March 2024, Uganda met the criteria for graduation from the category of least development countries. Let me repeat this. In March 2024, Uganda met the criteria for graduation from the category of least developed countries. 4. Life expectancy has improved to 68.2 years in financial 23-24 from 63.3 years in 2010-11 and from 50.4 years in 2002. This has been partly driven by improvements in access to health services, massive immunization campaigns that reduce disease prevalence and child mortality. 5. The population living within a 5-kilometer radius of a health facility is now 91% from about 8% in financial 2010-2011. And 81% of parishes now have government-aided schools. 6. Poverty has decreased by 16.1% in financial 2023-24 from 24.5% in financial 2010-2011. In addition, Madam Speaker, persons in the subsistence economy reduced to 33% in financial year 23-24 from 69% in financial 2010-2011. Madam Speaker, Uganda is becoming a more equal society. The results of National Household Survey released by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics last month show that income inequality has declined significantly in the past 4 years. The Gini coefficient, which is a statistical measure used to determine the extent of income inequality within a population, has reduced to 36% from 41% in 2020. 8. Madam Speaker, Ugandans can now connect all borders on tarmac and reach all parts of the country, east, west, south, north, by tarmac or improved mud roads. 9. Installed electricity generation capacity increased fourfold to 2,051 megawatts in financial year 23-24 from 595 megawatts in financial year 2010-2011. Consequently, the proportion of the population with access to electricity increased fivefold to 57% in financial year 23-24 from 11% in financial 2011. The percentage of the population subscribed to the internet rose to 53% in 2022 from 1.8% in 2010, and the national ICT backbone infrastructure extended to 4,300 kilometers in financial year 22-23 from 1,380 kilometers in financial 2010-2011. The economy has diversified from the traditional 3 C's, which are coffee, cotton, copper, and 3 T's, which are tobacco, tea, and tourism, to a more sophisticated economy. For example, Uganda has added 31 new products to its export basket in the last 15 years, including light manufactured products such as steel, processed food, cement, pharmaceuticals, dairy products, ceramics, and clothes. The number of manufacturing units factories of various sizes has increased by about 18,000 from 31,757 in 2010-2011 to 50,000 in financial 2023-24. As a result, this has increased the share of manufactured exports significantly. Madam Speaker, Uganda's economy has been able to achieve all these milestones on account of the right strategy of the NRM government. Let me repeat. Madam Speaker, Uganda's economy has been able to achieve all these milestones on account of the right strategy of the NRM government. Madam Speaker, since the necessary foundation has already been established by intentionally prioritizing investments in infrastructure, the speed of economic transformation is destined to be faster in the medium term. Madam Speaker, the budget for next financial year and over the medium term is focused on people and wealth creation. Consequently, the theme of the next financial year 25-26 remains full monetization of Uganda's economy through commercial agriculture, industrialization, expanding and broadening services, and digital transformation and market access. Current recent economic performance and outlook. Madam Speaker, our economy has strengthened its resilience to domestic and external shocks and is estimated to grow by 6.3% this financial year 24-25. This is after recording growth of 8.6% in the third quarter of this financial year. Last financial year 23-24, the economy grew by 6.1%. In nominal terms, the size of the economy is estimated at shillings 226.3 trillion, equivalent to US dollars 61.3 billion in financial year 24-25, rising from shillings 203.7 trillion, equivalent to US dollars 53.9 billion in financial year 23-24. This is equivalent to US dollars 174.2 billion in purchasing power parity terms. My economists will tell you what that means. 12, Madam Speaker, this growth has broad-based, including this growth was broad-based, including in agriculture, industry, and services like ICT. This was on account of continued implementation of government interventions and sound fiscal and monetary policies that have supported private sector investment. Madam Speaker, the impressive economic performance has been driven by His Excellency the Presidency's commitment and deliberate investment in wealth creation initiatives. I thank His Excellency the President for setting the tone and for providing leadership and direction. Madam Speaker, government has invested over shillings 9 trillion in key wealth creation initiatives over the last 10 years. These include Uganda Development Bank, 4.45 trillion, the Parish Development Model, shillings 3.3 trillion by end of financial year 24-25, Emioga, shillings 553 billion, the Youth Livelihood Program, shillings 207.95 billion, the Small Business Recovery Fund, shillings 100 billion, the Agricultural Credit Facility, shillings 495 billion, the Youth Venture Capital Fund, shillings 12.5 billion, Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, shillings 168 billion, the Invite Project, shillings 800 billion, the Grow Project, shillings 824 billion, and Uganda Development Corporation, 1.2 trillion, among others. Madam Speaker, the economy is expected to grow faster by at least 7% next financial year 25-26, and to double digits at the onset of oil and gas production. The size of the economy is projected to expand to shillings 254.2 trillion, equivalent to US dollars 6.1 billion in financial year 25-26. This will translate into a higher GDP per capita of US dollars 1,000. Let me repeat this. This will translate into a higher GDP per capita of US dollars 1,324 next financial year compared to US dollars 1,263 GDP estimated for this financial year ending the 30th June this year. Inflation. Madam Speaker, inflation is under control. For the year ending May 2025, the speed at which prices of goods and services rose slowed to 3.4% compared to 4.1% in the same period of the year ago. The slower pace of the increase in domestic prices was due to good export performance and FDI inflows, which led to a stable shilling, increased food production driven by good weather and the parish development model, and the close coordination of the fiscal and monetary policies. In addition, a reduction in the global prices of petroleum products also contributed to the lower prices. The country has been able to benefit from these lower global prices because of the direct importation of petroleum products by the Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, which removed middlemen in the petroleum supply chain. Therefore, inflation is expected to remain below the policy target of 5% per annum. Now, exchange rates. Madam Speaker, despite global uncertainties, the Uganda shilling has been among the few most stable currencies in Africa. Can I repeat? Madam Speaker, despite global uncertainties, the Uganda shilling has been among the few most stable currencies in Africa. The shilling appreciated by 4% year on year in April 2025 compared to the same month in 2024. Uganda's shilling has been ranked the most stable currency in Africa according to the International Financial Statistics Division of the IMF. This resilience is due to good export performance, strong inflows of foreign direct investment, and tourism receipts. Now, interest rates, Madam Speaker. The price of money has reduced to an average of 17.7% per year in March 2025 from 18.1% in November 2024. This decline was partly driven by slight reduction in the Bank of Uganda's reference interest rate and increased lending at lower interest rates to lower risk borrowers. Private sector credit, Madam Speaker, the stock of private sector credit grew to shillings 23.3 trillion in March 2025 from shillings 21.9 trillion in June 2024. This represents growth of 6%. Although this is low, it is expected to increase as the private sector activity and household demand continues to recover. Madam Speaker, contrary to conventional economics that government borrowing crowds out private sector credit, Uganda's government borrowing has instead availed cheaper and patient capital to the private sector engaged in wealth creation initiatives. Government borrows from commercial banks at relatively high rates and avails financing to the private sector in strategic sectors at relatively low or no interest rates. Government has provided direct credit to the private sector and household to supplement credit from commercial banks and other financial institutions through PDM, Emyoga, Youth and Women Livelihood Funds, Women Enterprise Support Funds totaling shillings 9.1 trillion, which is equivalent to 3.6% of total domestic economic output in financial 24-25. External sector development. Madam Speaker, total exports of goods and services for the 12 months of March 2025 is US $11.8 billion from US $9.56 billion for the same period in year 2024. Of these, exports of goods were US $9.6 billion for the same period, up from $7.3 billion in March 2024, representing growth of 26%. The top exports include gold, US $3.698 billion, coffee, US $1.83 billion, which alone had an annual average growth of 84.9%. Industrial products, $626.5 million, cocoa beans, US $410.8 million, milk products, US $285 million, base metals and products, US $230.6 million, sugar, US $186.5 million, fish and fish products, US $107.7 million, maize, US dollars 86.37 million, and other agricultural products like tea, tobacco, cotton, beans, fruits, vegetables, flowers, simsim, sesame, nuts, vanilla, and other grains, giving US dollars 575.9 million. Madam Speaker, this financial year, for the first time in the history of Uganda, coffee exports earnings not only exceeded the $1 billion mark, but are on track to double to US dollars 2 billion per year. While it took the country more than a century to reach US dollars 1 billion earnings per annum from coffee, it has taken just 1 year to double these earnings. This is an example of the kind of economic leap envisioned under the tenfold growth strategy. I therefore implore Ugandans to grow more coffee and, most importantly, add value to our coffee before we export it for higher earnings. Madam Speaker, for the year ending March 2025, the Middle East was Uganda's top export destination, followed by the East African Community, Asia, and the European Union. Uganda recorded large trade surpluses with the Middle East worth US dollars 186.3 million, and the European Union worth US dollars 117.7 million. The main export commodities to these markets were coffee, industrial, and mineral products. Madam Speaker, I wish to note that His Excellency the President, Madam Speaker, I wish to note that His Excellency the President's message and deliberate strategy of increasing the share of manufactured exports in total exports has started producing positive results. New research by the Harvard Economic Growth Lab shows that Uganda has become more complex for its level of income. This means that while earnings from traditional exports like coffee are significantly increasing, their contribution to the total export basket is declining. New products that require more advanced production technology than that expected for our level of income are contributing an increasing share of our total exports. According to the study, in the last 15 years, Uganda added 31 new products to its export basket. Among these are ICT equipment, serums and vaccines, medicines, new pneumatic tires, batteries, gas turbines, electric integrated circuits, transmission apparatus for radio, telephone and TV, measuring instruments, and instruments for physical and chemical analysis, and light manufactured products such as steel, processed food, cement, pharmaceuticals, dairy products, ceramics, and cloth. The country also has an opportunity of harnessing the production of 50 new complex products which are referred to as strategic base. Tourism and foreign direct investment. Madam Speaker, tourism earnings have grown by 13.1% to US dollars 1.52 billion in 12 months to March 2025 from US dollars 1.36 billion during the same period in 2024. This impressive growth is attributed to the sustainable peace, including the competitiveness of Uganda's tourism industry and government investment in strategic tourism infrastructure, including Uganda Airlines, remittances from Ugandans living and working abroad were US dollars 1.4 billion 12 months to March 2025 compared to US dollars 1.33 billion in the same period in 2024. 2024. Madam Speaker, Uganda has maintained its top ranking as one of the best investment destination in Africa. Let me repeat this. Madam Speaker, Uganda has maintained its top ranking as one of the best investment destinations in Africa. Foreign direct investments were worth US $3.4 billion in 12 months to March 2025, compared to US $2.99 billion during the same period in 2024. This performance was due to improved competitiveness of our economy. Fiscal performance. Madam Speaker, revenue collection is projected at shilling 31.9 trillion this financial year ending June 2025, equivalent to about 14.3% of total domestic economic output or GDP. Total expenditure outturn is estimated at shillings 51.53 trillion this financial year, excluding Bank of Uganda securities and domestic financing, the rollover. The budget deficit is estimated at 7.2% of GDP. Madam Speaker, government plans to collect shillings 37.2 trillion in domestic revenue next financial year 25-26. This will finance about 60% of the national budget. The rest of the budget will be financed through borrowing and grants. Madam Speaker, government has stepped up efforts to mobilize domestic revenue. Going forward, emphasis will be put on the following. 1. Broadening the tax base through strategic investment in the opportunities in agro-industry, tourism, minerals, including oil and gas, science, technology, and innovation, including ICT, as well as interventions that support wealth creation and the growth of small and medium enterprises. Eliminating corruption at URA through punishing corrupt officers and taxpayers who collude with URA staff, as well as leveraging digital platforms to minimize human interaction. 3. Enhancing implementation of electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solutions, which is corporation EFRIS, digital tax stamps, rental tax solution, and regular audits, especially for transfer pricing. Combating smuggling at border points through extended surveillance using advanced technologies like scanners, drones, and tracking systems with increased patrols in high-risk areas. Rationalizing tax exemptions to focus on only those that support industrial policy and introducing sunset clauses. Amending tax laws to close loopholes that cause revenue leakage and providing clarity to encourage voluntary compliance. Strengthening URA, including recruitment and training of tax officers to effectively administer tax collection, and supporting local governments and revenue generating public entities to increase revenue collection. Accountability for financial 24-25 and priorities for the financial 20-25-26. Madam Speaker, when I delivered the budget speech for financial 24-25, I made several commitments on government expenditure priorities for the financial year. In February 2025, I presented a detailed semi-annual budget performance report of this financial year to Parliament in line with the law. In this section, I provide the highlights of what government has achieved this financial to date. Madam Speaker, with respect to investing in people of Uganda, the following has been achieved. Let me repeat. Madam Speaker, with respect to investing in the people of Uganda, the following has been achieved. Health. Madam Speaker, during this financial year 24-25, the following milestones have been achieved in the health sector. 1. Government continued to invest in saving the lives of Ugandans by providing $721 billion for healthcare supplies, general and essential medicines under the national medical stores. This included additional financing of $100 billion for essential medicines, $116.8 billion for RVs, $2.9 billion for anti-malaria medicines, $17.8 billion for immunization supplies, and $52.3 billion for laboratory supplies, and $2.1 billion for anti-TB drugs. Government continued to improve healthcare infrastructure and equipment. For example, we completed, equipped, and commissioned 3 regional blood banks in Hoima, Arua, and Soroti. Operationalized 16 high-capacity oxygen plants across key regional referral hospitals. Continued infrastructure development and equipping of the 2 specialized centers for cancer and cardiovascular care. Infrastructure development of Lower Specialized Hospital is now at 68% progress, and training of the specialists is ongoing. Constructed new maternal wards and the staff houses in the health center 2s that are being upgraded to health center 3s. Distributed 20 digital X-ray machines to general hospitals and installed CT scans in 14 out of 16 regional referral hospitals. Government implemented interventions for preventive health care, for disease prevention and promotion of healthy lifestyles. For example, trained and deployed community health extension workers across the country to deliver essential health education on hygiene and sanitation, nutrition and disease prevention, and support routine immunization effort. Undertook residual spraying in 13 districts, which protected the lives of 2.7 billion people and 560,000 households against malaria, and introduced the malaria vaccine into the extended program on immunization targeting children under 5 years of age. Improved the digitization of healthcare services by extending connectivity of the electronic medical record system in 4 national referral hospitals and 16 regional referral hospitals. This has improved patient record management, drug dispensing, and monitoring the attendance of health workers. Strengthened the national ambulance and emergency care system by providing additional ambulances to improve the national emergency response and referral system. Madam Speaker, to further improve the health of Ugandans, a total of $5.87 trillion has been provided next financial 25-26. The priority intervention will include 1. Functionalizing health centers 4. 2. Strengthening primary health care and community health services. 3. Scale up of national e-health infrastructure. 4. Promotion of nutrition and education and reproductive health. 5. Continued deployment of community health extension workers. 6. Strengthening the national ambulance and emergency referral system. And 7, construction of specialized health facilities for cancer and cardiovascular care. Now, education. Madam Speaker, the following milestones have been achieved in the education sector. 1, provided access to universal primary education for 9.2 million learners and 905,116 learners under universal secondary education.
Minister, for record, it is 9.52.
Oh, 452. Well, my officers have misled me. And I close that one. 2, over 5,192 students, both on degree and diploma programs, benefited from higher education students loan financing scheme. In addition, 4,000 learners benefited from government sponsorship joining public universities. 3, a total of 166 seed schools have been constructed under the UGFIT program. 4, in preparation for CHAN and ACFON 27, government has so far spent shillings 496.8 billion for the construction of Hoima and Akibua Stadia, as well as the associated training facilities across the country. Government will spend a total shillings 1.3 trillion to get these facilities completed. In addition, Mandela National Stadium has been upgraded and government commissioned the National High Altitude Training Center, Teriyet, in Kapchorwa. In order to improve compliance with the quality standards, government digitalized school inspections in all public schools and certificate awarding technical, vocational education and training institutions. To improve the qualifications and skills of primary school teachers to meet the new minimum education requirement of degree level, government has established the Uganda National Institute for Teacher Education, UNITE. So far, UNITE has enrolled 1,000 students across 5 campuses and has been supported to undertake staff recruitment and take over the operations of 23 primary teachers' colleges to upgrade certificate teachers to diploma level. Rolled out the abridged A-level curriculum to implement the competence-based curriculum for A-level. A total of 357 120 learners successfully completed the 4-year cycle under the new lower secondary education curriculum and are transitioning to the new A-level curriculum. Implemented the TVET reform to increase industry participation in TVET training and delivery. A new TVET council, sector skills council, and the secretariat have been established with representation from various sectors. Madam Speaker, next financial, I have provided 5.04 trillion for priority interventions, which include 1, continuing to provide free education to Ugandans under UPE, USE, and universal post-O-level education and training. 2, providing sponsorship and student loans for higher education. 3, rehabilitation of 120 traditional secondary schools and 31 special need primary schools. 4, construction of 106 new seed schools and expansion of 61 existing secondary schools. 5, recruitment of more teachers and non-teaching staff. 6, strict enforcement of teachers and learners inspection across the country using an electronic system. 7. Providing textbooks and instructional materials to improve the textbook to student ratio to 1.13 from the current 1 to 1.5. Operationalization of Bunyoro and Busoga universities, and the completion of the ongoing construction of stadia and training facilities ahead of Chan and AFCON 27, as I've said before. Social protection. Madam Speaker, to keep our senior citizens healthy and to actively participate in socio-economic activities, government has divided shillings 811 billion, benefiting 905,702 older persons across the country under the social assistance grants for the elderly program, SAGE. In addition, 1,741 older persons group enterprises have been funded with government grants worth 5.5 billion, benefiting 11,644 older persons under the Special Enterprise Grant for Older Persons Program, SEGOP. Other social protection intervention which government has supported include the following: Youth Livelihood Program, a total of 24,228 youth enterprises have been funded to the tune of 191.336 billion, benefiting 274,211 youth.
271,211. That's
I have read it wrong. Let me repeat. 271,211 youth. The enterprises are in agriculture, 30%, trade, 38%, trade, 32%, other services, 19%, and others, 11%. Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, WEP, government has financed 21,948 women group enterprises, benefiting 235 million, 114 women. National Special Grant for Persons with Disability to address high vulnerability and poverty levels among persons with disability. Government has supported 8,107 enterprises, benefiting to 50,900 persons.
59,901.
59,901 persons with disabilities. Madam Speaker, I have provided an additional shillings 404.9 billion for social protection next financial year 2025-26. Water, sanitation, and environmental protection. Madam Speaker, to improve the quality of life, government continues to invest in the provision of safe water, improve sanitation, and ensure protection of the environment. These include the following. 1. Villages in Uganda with at least one safe water source have remarkably increased to 8 out of every 10 villages. Nationwide, 57,951 villages out of 71,225 have been served with a safe water source. 2. completed the construction of 259 medium and large solar-powered water supply and sanitation systems and gravity flow schemes across the country. 3. Construction of 42 large solar-powered water supply systems is ongoing in Agago, Yumbe, Amrat, Kabong, Kasese, Kakumiro, Sembabule, Kisoro, Rwanda, Mburamuti, Burambuli, Kienkwanzi, Mubere, Kiegegwa, Buyende, Nakaseke, Namayingo, Rakai, and Buvuma. With regard to clean water, construction of pipe-to-town water supply systems is ongoing in 32 towns. These include Namasali, Kakingo, Kamuli, Ngoma Town, Lunya, Karogo, Phase 2, Ishaka, Mobilizing, Nyakashaka, Bukumi, Kanapa, and Odongei. Construction is also ongoing in Parabekar, Rhino Camp, Aradufile, Lubeli Refugee Settlement, Burori, Nyaseke, Busaye, Kibuzi, and expansion in 2 towns of Kiboga and Zugoti. Other beneficial towns are Lamon, Dacheskot, Ir, Lorenga Kora, Chora, Manafwa, Butareja Busolwe, Terini, Kibuku, Kadama, Budaka, Kaliro, Namungarwe, Lukungiri, and Obongi. Construction of various water supply systems in 26 districts is at varying levels of physical progress. These include Manafwa Town Council and installation of solar packages that is ongoing in Loslang, Kasao, Phase 1, Kaburawizi, Phase 1, Bukumi, Burangira, and Kievando, Kasimbi, and Busale town. Also, government is starting the development of new piped water supply systems in Rwanda, Kabale, Albetong, Nakasongola, Kamuli districts, among others. Madam Speaker, I have provided an additional shillings 366.1 billion next financial for water resource management, climate change mitigation, natural resources, and environment. The priority interventions include construction of water supply infrastructure to increase service in the unserved communities in rural, urban, and refugee settlements, increasing rehabilitation and expansion of existing water, sanitation, and hygiene infrastructure, and increasing forest and wetland cover. Madam Speaker, overall, I have allocated a total of shillings 11.44 trillion next financial year towards investing in the people of Uganda through health, education, social protection, and water and sanitation. Now, wealth creation programs. Madam Speaker, wealth creation programs have proved effective in integrating lower-income Ugandans into the economy. As already reported, poverty and inequality have reduced thanks to the following opportunity equalizing initiatives that government has implemented. Parish development model. Madam Speaker, by 30th June this year, a total of shillings 3.3 trillion will have been transferred to 10,589 parishes across the country to transform the household still in subsistence to join the money economy. Each parish gets shillings 100,000 per year. So far, the PDM funds have reached 2.63 million beneficiaries in all districts and parishes. The beneficiaries have invested 45% of the money in cash and food crops such as maize, cassava, onions, bananas, and Irish potatoes, 36% in livestock such as piggery, goats, beef, cattle, dairy cattle, and sheep, 20% in poultry, and 6% in other enterprises. These investments are changing the lives of Ugandans by boosting household incomes, enhancing food security, and creating employment opportunities at local level countrywide. Madam Speaker, PDM operations have been fully digitized to ensure secure and smooth flow of the government grants directly from the National Treasury to the beneficiaries. Government using the National Identification Number, NIN, and the PDM information system to identify the beneficiaries, the WENI application to send the money, and the ZAIDI application to monitor and ensure that the money goes to the right beneficiaries and that they are using it to finance the right enterprises. This has enhanced efficiency and convenience in access and helped to reduce corruption in the PDM operations. Effective next year, every parish chief will make use of the PDMs to prepare an annual report on the state of their parish economy and asset register, the SPIA report. This report will enable tracking of progress towards full monetization of the economy for every parish. Madam Speaker, I have provided an additional 1.059 trillion in next financial year 25-26 for further capitalization of the PDM. This will avail an additional shillings 100 million per parish for households that have not yet benefited from the PDM. Government has also provided money to pay for the bank charges to ensure that beneficiaries receive the full amount of shilling 1 million each. Government is also providing a grant of 500,000 shillings for persons with disability over and above the loan of 1 shilling million to cater for the additional access requirements. Madam Speaker, in order to add value to and guarantee markets for PDM outputs, government has stepped up investment in agro-industry through vertical and horizontal value addition. This is targeting production of higher value multi-input products such as nutritional foods, baby foods that use several products like milk, eggs, and maize, and fruits and vegetables. Now, agricultural credit facility. Madam Speaker, government has injected a total of shillings 413.4 billion in SF since its establishment in 2010. In partnership with the participating financial institutions that match the government contribution, this facility has so far provided over 1 trillion in low-interest loans by the end of March 2025 to support agricultural productivity, commercial farming, and agricultural value addition. The SF has so far supported 14,336 beneficiaries, of whom 3,531 are smallholder farmers. The loans have financed the following: grain trading, shillings 431.4 billion, 43%. On farm activities, shillings 312.8 billion, 32%. Agro processing, 166.8 billion, 16%. And post-harvest management, shillings 89 billion, which is 9%. Madam Speaker, I have provided additional capital for the SEF of shillings 50 billion next financial 25-26. This is in addition to the agricultural insurance that benefits all farmers, including PDM beneficiaries. Uganda Development Bank, Madam Speaker, government has cumulatively capitalized the UDB to the tune of shillings 1.5 trillion to support industrialization, agricultural commercialization, and acquisition of appropriate technologies to increase productivity. UDB has so far achieved the following. 1. UDB has provided shillings 2.45 trillion to 607 businesses engaged in commercial agriculture, agricultural value addition, manufacturing, tourism, hospitality, education, health services, creatives, and construction industry, and as at the end of December 2024. 2. Businesses supported by UDB have created 55,553 jobs, generated out of value of shillings 23 trillion, contributed shillings 944.2 billion in taxes, generated an equivalent of shillings 3.3 trillion in forex earnings, and shillings 3.15 trillion in profits for the private sector businesses supported. UDB has implemented special programs targeting small and medium enterprises and youth and women-owned businesses engaged in wealth creation. This has been done through provision of business development and incubation services. In order to ease access, UDB is opening up regional offices and has supported wealth creation enterprises in 96 districts across all the sub-regions. Madam Speaker, I have now provided an additional shillings 1 trillion for UDB next financial year. We turn to Emyoga. Madam Speaker, in order to boost incomes of Ugandans engaged in specialized trades, Emyoga, particularly in urban and peri-urban centers, government has so far provided a total of shillings 660 billion. This has benefited a total of 2.4 million Ugandans in creating 471,000 jobs and kick-starting a new local economy in value-added enterprises such as winemaking, carpentry, coffee, value addition, metal fabrication, tailoring, artisanal products, mechanics, women in markets, restaurants, and services like hair and beauty salons and transport, among others. Madam Speaker, I am providing an additional 100 billion Uganda shillings next financial year to support more Emyoga enterprises as off-takers of PDM outputs. Following enactment of new TVET Act, government would support certification and issuance of practicing permits to competent practitioners benefiting from the Emyoga program. Small Business Recovery Fund, Madam Speaker. This fund was established to support small businesses which were affected by COVID-19 to recover with an initial capital of 100 million shillings, to be matched by commercial banks and other financial institutions. The funding